SCP-280, also known as Eyes in the Dark. And by the time you see its glowing eyes, it's already too late. Let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about this SCP and how to contain it.
That's been left uninhabited for this long, rumors tend to spiral.
Like
of course,
what?
There are the more mundane explanations for why the 2-story, 4-bedroom home on the end of a nice street lays in semi-ruin. Black mold, asbestos, rising house prices. But those weren't the stories that most people told. Everyone in the neighborhood knew what really happened.
What
All those
happened
years ago,
there?
The family that lived there had been murdered.
Oh, it's Harry
and
Potter.
The killer was never caught.
Oh.
The 3 young paranormal investigators,
It's
with
Avada
EMF
Kedavra
readers in their hands and GoPro cameras mounted on their hard hats, know all about this. They approach the house in the dead of night, mumbling commentary for the recordings. If the old house really is as haunted as everyone says it is, then they could be in for something really good here. Their subscribers always loved brand new paranormal content. They use a crowbar.
Wait a second, guys. Why does this kind of remind me of like Sam and Colby or even Beck Bros? Sometimes on our Beck Bros channel, we'll investigate spooky, scary, haunted houses. And usually, you know, we don't run into anything that bad. But I have a feeling these guys are going to run into one of the most dangerous, most aggressive SCPs of all time.
To breach the front door and head inside. It's everything you can expect from a house that had been abandoned for 17 years. Dust, cobwebs,
it just says
and
boo on the wall.
Abound. Broken bottles scattered across the floor. Someone has scrawled, "Welcome to Hell," above the door in faded Sharpie. It all plays perfectly for the cameras. Paranormal content gold. All of them turn on their flashlights, generously provided to them by one of their sponsors, of course.
What the heck, dude? They got
particular
14 million
situation,
views?
They have no idea just how valuable
These guys are big
their
shots.
product really is. After all, there are some frightening things that hide in the dark. The leader of the trio begins ascending the stairs, narrating into his helmet cam, giving the more popular version of the house's legend. The perfect suburban family, torn apart, literally, by a killer hiding in their home.
Oh
The
my
family had all been
gosh.
brutally murdered by someone in their home, but the police never found any sign of unlawful entrance or exit.
So guys, I wonder if the family was killed by the SCP or if that created the SCP. Like obviously the SCP, we know that it's called Eyes in the Dark. So, but we don't really know much about what it actually is. Like, is it a ghost? Is it a demon? Is it actually just like 2 eyeballs floating in the dark? And also, if it is, how does it actually like damage people? How does it murder people? I'm just really curious about how this SCP is such a dangerous Keter-class SCP that has to be contained at all costs.
There were no clues to the killer's presence whatsoever, in fact. It was as if they were a ghost, a vapor. It was almost as though whoever killed the family had always been in that house, and even after the murders were committed, they never left the place either.
So they probably
As he
got
tells the
killed
story,
by the
lead
SCP.
investigator starts to feel a little nervous, even though he himself doesn't really believe in the supernatural. He just plays up reactions for the views. He still can't help but wonder, should I really be here? Am I making a terrible mistake? Is there a chance that whatever did this all those years ago could still be in the house, waiting for me? But he pushes those thoughts from his mind. This gig is too valuable for him to wimp out now. And really, what are the chances that something actually dangerous would be lurking in the house?
Guys, I feel like this is exactly how some of the biggest ghost hunting YouTube channels are. Like, I feel like there's a small part of me that believes that they don't actually believe in the supernatural, that they're just playing it up for the cameras, and that they're getting really good reactions, and they're getting views from it, so they gotta keep doing it. Kind of like this guy right here. Like, he doesn't really believe in it, but he's getting paid to do it, so you might as well. But then, what if something real actually happens? Will you believe it? Will you even think that it's real? Will you treat it as an actual danger? Or will you just be like, nah, you know, this is great content. Let's go ahead and let's keep filming.
The other 2 investigators are still looking around downstairs, sticking together, their flashlight beams slicing through the darkness. Their boss always insists on going upstairs first. He demands the glory shot, after all.
Interesting. So that guy's in charge.
Searching the downstairs living room, dining room, and kitchen, where the best they can hope for is maybe a particularly haunted-looking dishwasher. It's why the younger of the 2 is so surprised when they suddenly feel something happening to their body that they've never experienced before.
Wait, what? Wait, do you guys
In
see
an
the little
instant,
glowing
their whole
particles?
body convulses with an involuntary shudder. They feel the temperature drop, and the world gets just that little bit darker.
Okay, guys, temperature dropping is a key indicator that there is a supernatural presence. At least that's what it said on the ghost hunting TV show that I watch.
The way they can describe the feeling is impending doom. Like any moment now, something terrible is going to happen. But almost as soon as the feeling begins, it's gone.
That's
Intensity
so
dropping,
weird.
The dread starting to dissipate, as though whoever or whatever caused this feeling literally passed right through
one of
them.
the ghosts went through them. And it's not even a ghost, it's an SCP.
Of course, they nod and force a smile. They're fine.
Look, wait, guys, look in the background. Do you guys see those little glowing particles? I don't know if those are SCPs or not, but they were not there a little bit ago. And I mean, based on the name, Eyes in the Dark, this SCP could be right behind them, and they have no idea.
It's just a spooky place is all. Atmosphere like this would get to anyone. Meanwhile, the lead investigator is exactly where he wants to be, ascending a rickety stepladder up into the attic. The very same attic where, all those years ago, the police had found what was left of the family. And from
okay, so they were in the attic.
Their remains weren't a pretty sight, even by true crime enthusiast standards. He enters the attic and shines his flashlight around, capturing all the dusty old boxes left to rot in the cold.
Guys, keep an eye out for little shining eyeballs.
In the worst and final moments of a group of strangers' very real lives. The attic is full of spider webs and shadows. They're so ubiquitous that as the lead investigator pauses to tell his camera the next chapter of the grisly tale, he doesn't even notice one of the shadows peeling off of the wall behind him.
What?
It wafts
the heck?
Like a gust of midnight
Nah,
air.
bro. Nah. Get out of there. Go. Turn around.
To take on a vaguely human
Wait, I thought these were supposed to be like eyes in the dark, not a shadow.
Direction. Arms extended like a classic movie monster.
Dude, look at that. Look at it.
Dark claws slide out of its
the heck is happening?
Downstairs, the other two investigators hear the most
my boy dead. He is deader than a fish in a Walmart on a Tuesday.
Could this be one of the tormented souls of the departed family, longing to be heard after years of silence?
I don't. Why would they think that? Why do they think that it's a real life ghost? Especially when they know that their friend is upstairs. Why would they think that a ghost is the one screaming? No, this is your friend being absolutely pulled apart by an SCP that's a shadow on the wall. I thought it was going to be eyes in the dark, but no, it is a shadow on the wall that is currently destroying your friend.
Then it occurs to them that they recognize the scream.
Well, yeah.
It belongs to their boss.
It's about time.
The two of them charge up the stairs, flashlights in hand, as the screaming starts to become more desperate and pained, like that of a wounded animal.
Okay, somebody should really call the cops.
Those terrible wails are echoing down from the open hatch leading into the attic. It's so dark up there, something must have broken his flashlight. That's when they notice something else. Red, dripping from the open hatch. For a moment,
he's dead,
wondering what could be going on up there. Could they really help, or would they just be running into the danger themselves?
Guys, comment down below. What would you do in this situation if you're two friends and you look into the attic and you just see red coming from the attic? Personally, I don't know if I'm going up there. I'll be honest. You know, I wanna say that I'm a hero in the moment, but if I'm being honest with myself, I don't know if I would go up there, because what am I going to do? Like, how can I help in that moment? But then some part of me wants to go see if, like, what if I could help? What if I could actually do my friend a service and save him? But I wouldn't know unless I went up there, and if I go up there, it might be too late for me. So honestly, if I had to be honest, I think that I'm booking it. I am getting out of this house and I am running for the hills. I'm going to call 911. Of course, I'm going to go knock on neighbors' houses. I'm going to get some help in there, but I do not think I am brave enough to go up into the attic. I'm curious what you guys would do. Comment down below.
But soon, their desire to save their boss's life overpowers their
they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
They grab the ladder and start climbing, feeling the dripping blood on the worn wooden rungs. When they finally get up into the attic, it feels like the scream is coming from everywhere, bouncing off the walls in a terrible, echoing cacophony of pain. They turn in all directions, hovering their flashlight beams around the room in wide, sweeping arcs, until both fall on the source of all this terror. And when they see it, they can't help but scream too.
Did he get turned into an SCP?
Investigator's body is floating about a foot off the ground.
No, he did not.
The screams now fading into pained gurgles. Something huge and dark is lifting him up with one
hand.
No. The long, dark claws
oh my gosh, it's no longer a shadow.
The twin flashlight beams
it's like a Demogorgon upside down creature.
Investigator's bleeding body down onto the ground. His skin slate gray, his feeble twitching slowing to a halt as the last of his life drains from him.
He did.
Two glowing red pinpricks.
Ew, dude, what?
Figure.
It's Vecna. It's Vecna from Stranger Things.
Into their memory. Like smoke, it continues to glide backwards further,
And then
seeking
it's
refuge
gone?
in the dark, a safe haven amongst the other shadows. By this point,
So it doesn't
the two surviving
like
investigators
light.
know there's nothing they can do for their boss anymore. All that's left is to get out and survive. They have to save themselves. They turn, wasting no time running towards the exit. They don't notice it, but the second they turn the beams of their flashlights away, the shadow's terrible eyes disappear.
Interesting.
And it starts advancing towards them again. Its
So
claws
those were the
outstretched
eyes in the
and
dark.
grasping for them with awful fury.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Shine the
shadow
flashlight.
creature grabs
Shine
at
the
their
flashlights.
heads as they make their final leap for the exit.
Oh, gotcha, hat.
However, all the monster can pull away.
Okay, so
are their
that's
helmets
Jake
and
Paul
helmet
as an
cams
SCP.
They scramble down the ladder and then down the stairs, running at speeds they didn't even think possible as the shadow slithers down behind them. It doesn't give up. It wants their lives.
Seriously, use the
Wants
flashlight.
their
What are we
warm
doing right
human
now?
blood on its claws.
What are we doing?
They
Use
clear
the flashlight.
threshold of the accursed house and keep running to their car.
Can it come
One looks
outside
over
of
their
the
shoulder
house?
And sees the shadow leave the house.
Seriously?
gaining on them, both claws
Dude,
outstretched and ready to rend their flesh.
Bro.
The two climb
No,
into
no,
their
no, no,
car
no, no, no.
and see the
Turn
shadow
on
coming
lights.
towards
Turn on
their
your
window.
headlights.
It's moving
Turn
so
on the car.
quickly,
Turn on the
only a
car.
few feet away now. It's
Put the
getting
keys
closer
in the ignition and
closer
turn that thing on.
closer. Ignition.
Please,
The car
yes,
starts
yes.
up
Turn
and
on
the
lights.
driver smashes
Turn on the
pedal
lights.
down.
What are we
Take
doing?
off, quickly accelerating up to illegal
They're
speeds
panicking right
as the
now.
shadow
They have no
continues
idea what to do.
chase, slowly getting smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror.
Oh my
A
gosh,
distant
did
nightmare.
they
A
escape?
terrible, dark ghost. As it finally disappears,
Whew.
they feel a moment of
That was a
safety,
close call.
but really, only a moment. Because it occurs to them then that they cannot say with any confidence that this monster won't just be waiting for them when they get home.
Okay, that is creepy, guys. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the case because I don't know really much about this SCP. I don't know if it's going to be contained to the house or, like they just said, could it follow them home? If it can travel by darkness, it could technically go anywhere that it wants to at night unless they live their entire lives in the light where there's like no more shadows anywhere. Like they would need to have light on them 24/7 and carry a flashlight. And if this thing pops up, you gotta shine it in between its two giant eyeballs, right in the forehead with a flashlight. That's the only way to survive.
SCP-280, also known as Eyes in the Dark, is one of the more frightening and dangerous anomalies contained by the SCP Foundation.
It's
of course,
glorious.
It likely won't be causing an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario anytime soon.
Well, that's
but
good.
if you happen to run into this nocturnal monster, it's likely to cause an end-of-you scenario.
Hey,
and
Dr.
remove
Bob,
you
watch
from the
out
world with
for that
extreme
shadow behind
prejudice.
you.
There's no way of telling just how many lives it claimed before the SCP Foundation finally got it into containment, and perhaps it's best to just not think about that.
That is true, guys. You gotta think that this is one of those SCPs that would be so difficult to find because imagine you're those two kids. Like, what do you tell people? If you tell people that your friend died to a ghost shadow figure, like, they're not going to believe you. Who's going to believe that? They're going to get sent to like a psycho asylum, and then they're going to be bunkmates with the Joker. It's just not going to work. So I feel like the SCP Foundation, they would have taken a very long time to actually realize that this thing was a threat.
SCP-280 is a black wraith-like apparition that floats at roughly average human height, with no visible legs or feet. As
I wonder
the lower
how you
portion
can
of its body
contain this
simply
thing.
fades away before it reaches the ground. In its dormant state, the entity may appear to be little more than a shadow, easily dismissed, especially in dark environments. This comes as a natural result of the being's frightening ability to become intangible at will, and only become physical when it enters a state of active aggression toward a human target. In this intangible state, victims have even been known to walk through the shadowy mass by accident.
So it did go
While this
through
doesn't
them.
lead to any detrimental physical
Huh.
effects. Victims report that being inside the creature can lead to heightened
Pause.
states of anxiety, fear, and dread. Despite its body being wholly composed of an unidentifiable black matter, when exposed to light, the creature does begin to express a pair of glowing dots on its head similar to eyes, hence its frightening nickname. However, all tests indicate that these eyes aren't actually functional. Instead, they appear to be
Oh.
a kind of defensive measure, like false eyes on the carapace of an insect.
Ah,
These eyes are never
interesting.
shown when
So they're
SCP-280
meant to scare
is
you.
advancing towards a victim, only when it is in retreat, though this is only one of the entity's several defensive responses. If an area where the creature is residing becomes fully illuminated, or a sudden flash of extremely bright light is
It can
directed against
teleport.
it, then it will immediately dematerialize and appear in a different area.
Whoa.
The one positive thing that can be said about the hunting patterns of SCP-280 is that they're relatively predictable. The entity, it seems, only has an interest in human beings. When it selects
Well,
a
that's
target,
good.
it will pursue them
I guess.
relentlessly, approaching in its intangible form with its arms extended in what many describe as a sleepwalker pose. In this state, you may finally notice 280's claws, long, thin, and razor sharp. It may silently approach while the victim is turned the other way, or while they sleep soundly in bed.
Oh, that
or even
is
when they're paralyzed
terrifying.
in fear at the very sight of it.
Okay.
When SCP-280 closes the distance, it will begin to rip and tear at its victims with its claws.
That's
causing
what
massive
happened
physical trauma
to the
and,
family.
in some cases, death.
Wow.
Attacks range from 1 to 5 minutes of being relentlessly clawed at by the beast.
How did they figure that out? What did the SCP Foundation do? I guess just like every other SCP that they investigate, they use D-class personnel in order to figure out what the SCP does, how it operates, and also how it attacks. So they definitely sacrifice some D-class personnel to figure out that fact.
When the attack is over, it will simply expose its eyes, become intangible once more, and escape. You will not be able to overpower the creature. Foundation tests have shown that it has extreme physical strength.
So I'm really curious, guys, if it can go intangible, which basically means that it can go through solid objects, how can you contain this thing? Like, obviously, you need to attract it into an area, and then maybe do you have the surrounding area be completely lit up? Is that the only way to do that? So you have to have like pretty much like a box or like a room that is 100% dark, and then the surrounding area needs to be light so that if it does go intangible, it can't leave because then it would just get burned by the light that's around it. That's the only thing I can think of.
And it's capable of tearing apart solid steel with little effort. If it can't find any humans to victimize, then it will simply remain dormant, pressing itself up against a wall, in a dark corner, or within some other structure.
So it just waits for people to come around.
Nervous about a certain dark corner in a room near you, it is best to remove yourself from the situation as quickly as possible and remain in a brightly lit area.
So what Dr. Bob is telling me that my fear of running out of basements was not irrational. Every single time when I was younger and I had to go into a basement, when I had to turn out the lights, I would sprint up the stairs like I was Usain Bolt because I had a feeling there was something down there and I did not want to find out what it was.
It would perhaps be comforting to believe that SCP-280 is acting on some twisted form of animal instinct. After all, while the results may seem horrific to us, every organism has to eat, right? Well, sadly,
is that what this thing is?
The case here.
Is it an organism?
SCP-280 does not appear to eat, sleep, or breathe to survive.
Oh, fantastic.
It never consumes any of the matter torn from its victims.
So it just does it for fun. It is sport killing.
It enjoys the harm it causes, taking a degree of
what is wrong with SCPs?
Murdering its targets. There is no better nature to appeal to here. The SCP Foundation's ability to study the creature's biology has also been stunted, in part due to the creature's highly aggressive nature, and also the fact that its selective intangibility makes gaining physical samples almost impossible. Even capturing and containing the creature in the first place came partially out of blind luck. It first came to Foundation attention after a series
Police
of
baffled by
mysterious murders in a small
Mysterious
Mississippi
murder.
township. In the most recent case, an entire family had been brutally murdered in their home, leaving only one survivor. A traumatized 9-year-old boy named David who locked himself in the basement when he started to hear the screaming.
Poor little
He was
kid.
so terrified by the things he saw that night that he remained in a catatonic state for weeks afterwards, completely unresponsive to outside stimulus.
I can only imagine,
One
like,
little detail
you're
saved his
traumatized
life.
forever.
A flashlight was clasped in his white knuckle grip, shining a bright beam of cold,
That's
white
how he
light
survived.
onwards. When David was removed and placed into medical care, officers began searching the building for any kind of clues as to how the other 4 family members were murdered. However, during this investigation, the police were just as vulnerable as the victims who'd been so recently slain.
Oh, wow.
While one officer was wandering around the attic, looking for any evidence they may have missed, SCP-280
No
emerged from the
way!
darkness and attacked, tearing into his body with its long, deadly claws.
What?
Luckily for the officer in question, he survived the incident, though he was badly wounded. His report on the matter, including the ardent claim that he was attacked by a being, quote, made from black smoke, caught the attention of SCP Foundation operatives embedded in the precinct.
Okay,
They
that's
soon took over the
good. That means that they
investigation
can
and descended on the
finally
house,
get this
hoping
thing.
to tag and bag whatever had been behind all these deaths.
Yes, tag
This
and
would
bag.
be easier said than done. While Foundation field agents canvassed the home, they simply walked past the creature multiple times.
So at this point, they have no idea what they're looking for. They literally have only one piece of information, and it's that the police officer got attacked by black smoke. So if you're going in there, you're probably just gonna be looking around for like black smoke, but you're not gonna be looking for like a shadow on the wall. So I have a bad feeling one of these SCP officers is going to get attacked.
Discounting it as a mere shadow. After all, it only had these easily identifiable glowing eyes when it was in a retreating position. Even when it entered its physical state, operatives brushing up against it generally dismissed the sensation as hair, clothing, or some other object touching them in the dark.
Also, why did they not just turn on the
already
lights?
bungled investigation got even worse when the Foundation decided to introduce high-intensity lights into the equation, hopefully flushing the creature out.
So that's going to make it
This, of course,
angry.
only caused it to dematerialize and appear elsewhere. The chase ended in an almost farcical fashion. A cavalcade of Foundation agents chasing a cloud of smearing black smoke across a Mississippi field at 2:30 a.m. Thankfully for the human race,
Just another day in the
entity
SCP
was,
Foundation.
at the very least, eventually secured and contained. However,
So they basically use flashlights to like scare the SCP into this room in the SCP Foundation.
this wouldn't be the last time it was out of containment.
Oh,
During
it
a series
escaped.
of tests with different types of illumination, intending to test SCP-280's reflexes, it disappeared from its chamber. It seemed almost to sink through the different levels of the illuminated site before coming to rest at the containment chamber holding SCP-1591.
It went into a different
This made for a
container.
fascinating accidental cross-test. You see, SCP-1591, to put it simply, is a unique sculpture of a star that emits an incredibly bright light.
That's
This
not
light will
gonna
slowly
work.
make any being subject to its glow intangible before disappearing completely. When SCP-280 came before SCP-1591, it displayed its eyes, but did not retreat. In fact, it assumed a kneeling position and simply remained before the anomalous sculpture until
What?
it faded from existence.
And
It
wait,
then
what?
remanifested in its own containment chamber several hours later. without
What the
incident.
heck?
All things considered, it went pretty well.
I
as far
guess
as
so.
containment breaches involving deadly, human-hating monsters go.
That could have been way
Because
worse.
of its abi-
What if they like merged together to create the ultimate like black hole of darkness? That actually would have been kind of sick.
ability to demanifest and phase through solid objects, SCP-280 is incredibly difficult to contain, earning it the dreaded Keter object class. In order to avoid the risk of demanifestation, SCP-280 is contained in a 5x5 meter cell that is perpetually left in a state of total darkness.
Okay,
No
that's what I said
equipment is to be
earlier,
left in
actually.
the cell unsupervised at any time, and any items brought into the cell for testing must be removed when the testing is complete. Any staff members entering the chamber for tests must be equipped with infrared goggles, an infrared ID strobe, and also a strong flashlight to ward the creature off in the case that it becomes aggressive.
Huh.
If SCP-280 does attempt to attack anyone in the chamber, all attending staff are instructed to turn on their flashlights and turn the beams against the creature.
That is
No
so
aggressive action is
dangerous.
permitted, and staff members must remain at least 1 meter away from SCP-280 at all times for their
Wow.
own safety. And if you suddenly feel yourself getting a little nervous in an eerily dark room, I'd like
Okay.
you to remember this. The
Yeah?
one thing more frightening than seeing eyes in the dark is not seeing them.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is everything about SCP-280. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like.